Hello guys, and welcome to my video review of the Seiko SKX. First of all, I would like to point out I have never owned a Seiko before, and I still don't. This is not my watch. This has been lent in for review by someone who I now consider a very good friend. Thank you, Corneliu, for entrusting me with your timepiece, even though we've only spoken with each other via the internet. If you come to think about it, it requires a lot of courage, and you need to show someone a lot of trust in order to do that. So, what can I say? Thanks again, man. You've been the best. Now, let's get on with the review of the legendary Seiko SKX. And I do mean legendary. Apologize for the lack of white gloves today. I'm currently in the process of sourcing out new ones. Okay, so, the legendary Seiko SKX. What can we say about this watch, huh? Well, it's a very popular model from Seiko. Probably one of the more popular ones, if not the most popular. But is it too popular for its own good? I guess we're gonna find out during the process of the review, okay? Now, I'm just gonna get this box out of the way. Gonna keep the watch on its cushion. I like this Seiko cushion. Okay, you might think that probably Seiko is a stranger to dive watches, but believe it or not, well, they're not. They have been making dive watches since 1965. Their first ever dive watch was called the Seiko 6217. So if you're looking for the first ever dive watch made by Seiko, that's your best bet. The Seiko 6217 was launched less than 10 years after the famous Rolex Submariner, or the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, if you would like to know that. But interestingly enough, the Seiko had 150 meters of water resistance, whereas the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, well, it had only 50 fathoms of water resistance, about 91 meters. So it's not bad for a Japanese model who didn't came long after the Blancpain. The Seiko also did not have a screw-down crown, but that's okay, because back at the time, only Rolex had the patent to do that. The Blancpain didn't have a screw-down crown as well. What, in my opinion, Seiko did with the Seiko 6217, which is also doing now today, is, well, it's introducing the dive watch to the masses. The problem nowadays is Seiko is not the only player on the market which is introducing dive watch to the masses. We have also other companies which are doing that, but that will be for a future review, for a future comparison between the two. That was just a small hint. Let's talk about the case of this watch. Getting the specs out of the way, this has a diameter of 42.5 millimeters, a thickness of 13.25 millimeters, a short lug-to-lug of 46, and a lug width of 22 millimeters. You might think that because of the larger case diameter, this might be uncomfortable to wear on smaller sized wrists, but I can assure you that is not the case. Get it? Because me with my 7-inch wrists, I find this very comfortable to wear even for larger periods of time. Although I have been wearing this on this original Seiko Jubilee Bracelet. But we'll get to that later. What can we say about the watch case shape? Well, it is very Seiko, isn't it? It harkens back to the original cushion-shaped Seikos, which were the Seiko 6105s. Seiko did the cushion shape to increase the robustness of the case, increase its resistance to outer forces. The Seiko 6105s were actually the ancestors to the classic turtles, as we know them nowadays. This does share a lot of elements in common with those watches, though. This has the crown at the 4 o'clock position, and the way that the crown guards and the lugs fit together is just beautiful, in my opinion. I mean, it just blends in, it melts away, and it melts away from the case to the crown at the 4 o'clock position, which is quite large. This is not signed, as you can see, but it has very nice coin edging, and it's easy to screw back in, as I shall now demonstrate. Okay, as I shall now demonstrate, it has a 120 click bezel. Very nice to operate, very solid feeling. Of course, it has no wobble in any way, and at least on this particular model, the lume pip at the 12 o'clock position fits perfectly with the dial of the watch. Nice, huh? So at least at this one it fits beautifully. If you're OCD, maybe contact Corneliu. Try and buy this from him. What else should I say? Oh yes, the bezel, which is a 120 clicks, is very easy to operate. Very grippy action on it. And the back of the watch is very nicely decorated with this Seiko tsunami wave. Also, it has the specs of the watch over there. See? It is a diverse 200 meters. The dial of this Seiko SKX 007K version is very simple and utilitarian. It's a black dial with very generous application of lume on the hour markers, Seiko's own Lumibright, which is a very good quality. It lasts for most of the night. It's not as bright as the brightness that it first hits you with. Very impressive, by the way. But for the money you're paying, I think you're getting excellent lume. It also has this nice pop of red color at the 6 o'clock position, telling you that it's a diverse 200 meter. The J version of this watch has 21 joules written under that, and also made in Japan near the 6 o'clock marker. Whether the J version of the SKX is actually made in Japan or not is debatable. My best guess is that it's not, because I have seen people taking the backs off their Seiko SKX J version, and it actually says made in China, which is a bit of a disappointment if you pay an extra $150 or $100 for your Seiko SKX J version. But having made in Japan is probably worth it on the dial. My favorite feature would probably be the second hand, which half of it's white, as you can see, and half of it's black. And from a distance, when viewing this watch from a distance, it actually looks like you have a floating lume pip on the dial. Very nice effect to it. I like that. The hour markers are chromed. The hour hand is chromed, and also the minute hand is chromed. Very good application of lume on them also. Also, you have lume on the pip, on the bezel. Very simple dial to this SKX. It helped a lot in getting the ISO 6425 certification that it has. I guess because well, you need to see the watch clearly from a distance in the water, even in complete darkness. And you need an indication that the watch is running. That's probably where the lume pip on the second hand comes into play. I would also like to say a couple of words regarding this ISO 6425 certification that this watch has. This is no small feat, because watches which have this certification need to be more rigorously tested than other watches which only have water resist to 200 meters written on the dial, like my Orient Mako USA, for example. So, in theory at least, from a legal point of view, you are getting better quality control on these watches. So, how does this watch wear on the hand? How does it feel? As I said, it feels excellent. And it's all due to this Seiko Jubilee Bracelet. People say that this watch is a NATO strap monster, or a strap monster. And I did get a couple of NATOs in This is actually quite a nice quality, newer style Bond NATO strap. I do have here a classic style Zulu strap, classic Bond style Zulu strap, and also a simple black Zulu strap. Quite a nice thickness to it. I'm probably gonna be lynched for saying this, but I did not enjoy wearing the Seiko on the NATO straps. Whoa, why is that? Because, look, let's just look at the construction of a NATO strap. You have 2 layers of material sitting between your wrist and the watch. And this is already a thick watch, mind you. And it will add some thickness to it more still. So if you're the type of person who does not like very tall watches, I would probably urge you to stay away from the NATO strap. But try it either way, because most NATO straps are very cheap. Just buy a very cheap one, see how it feels on your hand. If you like how it feels, then just buy a better, more expensive one. Me, I fell in love with the Seiko original Jubilee bracelet. I'm not going to say this is the best bracelet out there. It is constructed very poorly, in my opinion. First time I've seen it, first time trying to adjust it and fit it to the watch, oh man, oh boy. I was actually shocked at how bad the quality seemed to be. This has hollow end links, also hollow middle links, which are polished. The outer links are solid, thank God. They do fit using these pins. Easy to fit. Clasp, oh, there's no way of sugarcoating it. I mean, it looks okay when it's closed, but when you open it, it feels cheap and it looks like crap. Okay, but the way that this watch feels on the strap when it's on your hand, the way that the strap is able to move, the range of movements that it has, it just doesn't really compare with an oyster style strap that you find on other divers around there. It's gonna be prone to stretching like classic Jubilee straps by Rolex because it has hollow middle links. But just buy this watch and give it a chance on the original Jubilee bracelet. I promise you're gonna enjoy the way that it feels on your hand, because it just hugs the wrist beautifully. And it sort of looks $1,000,000, you know. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Rolex, but I don't think that I like the Jubilee bracelet just because it was originally made by Rolex. It simply is comfort in its purest form. If a NATO strap would have a metal counterpart, this is probably it. I'm actually in love, and I would love to see more Jubilee bracelets out there in more watches. People need to give this one a chance. Let's talk about the movement of the watch. It's a 21 jewel Seiko 7S26 movement. Non-hacking, non-hand winding. This has been very accurate while I was testing it. Between 10 seconds in 1 day accuracy, and I'm very pleased. It also has a day-date complication, which, mind you, Swiss watches with the day and dates are not cheap out there, right? I personally don't really mind no hand winding on a diver watch, because I would not enjoy constantly screwing and unscrewing the crown just to hand wind the watch. I understand if you have hand winding, it makes the watch, I mean, you sort of have a better movement, so I get that. I'm not gonna argue with that, but this is the movement. People say it's a workhorse, that it lasts 15-20 years without a service. I personally think that's, well, kind of bullshit, because if a watch is gonna need the service, it's gonna need the service. And plus, if you're keeping your watch 20 years without a service, Does it really matter if it's reliable or not? I mean, you don't really care about the watch, come on. This is what I think I had to say about the movement. Also, it's 21,800 beats per hour. The second hand looks reasonably smooth, and along the lines of me testing it, it has been very reliable. And I understand from other people out there that it is a very reliable movement. Let's get to the conclusions of this review, shall we? This watch retails for about $200 to $300. That's the price range you're gonna find it at. If you can get the Seiko SKX for lower than $200, definitely go for it. It's a no-brainer. Otherwise, for $250 to $300, it's still a very good deal of a watch. And I promise you, if you're not going to have any mechanical problems with it, of course, if it's not going to malfunction, you're gonna get a very nice watch and you're gonna enjoy the hell out of it. I don't know if it's gonna be for 15-20 years without a service, but that doesn't really matter. For $300 or $200, you can just replace this watch if it goes bad. And you're gonna get many, many, many happy moments wearing this piece on your wrist. Also, if there's something that you don't like about this model, they also have a blue and red version, or the Pepsi as it's called, the 009. This does come in a smaller variant, the SKX 013. Some people say that that's for women, some people say that that's just a more smaller sized version, that it's unisex. Doesn't really matter. If you want a smaller sized version, there are versions out there. Also, this watch is very, very moddable. I mean, maybe you like the look of the Jubilee bracelet, but you have an extra $100 to spend on a better quality Jubilee bracelet, then Strapcode is your man. I mean, Strapcode, as I understood, and I have seen on the internet, they do a much better quality Jubilee bracelet for this one, and they also do straps for the new turtles as well. They have been known to do very nice straps for these watches and bracelets for these watches. So do check them out if you like the look of the Jubilee, but really care about the quality of your bracelet and the way it's constructed. Otherwise, of course, if you want a ceramic bezel, you can also get that. If you want different style hands, modding is out there, guys. Modding is for you. If you want a cheap watch that you can work on and learn about how they are built, how they're assembled, I would probably urge you to buy an SKX and start modding the hell out of it. Put a sapphire crystal on it, change the strap, change the hands on the watch, even change the dial, who knows. I mean, there's a world of possibilities out there. And this watch deserves the attention. Is it the best in its class? We'll see in a future video for you guys. But for the money that it costs, if you like the look of the watch, go for it. I promise you won't regret it. I, for one, I don't know if I can say that I love the SKX, but finally, after so many months of watching people on the Urban Gentry Facebook group telling me that, well, look, you gotta get an SKX, man. Look, it's an SKX. Oh, God, definitely the SKX is the best out there. I don't know if I agree with all of them, but I understand. Finally, I get it. After owning this watch, yeah, it's a very good watch. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye.